Content warning. The following show contains potty mouth language, discussions of fictitious violence, tobacco smoking, and a few things that might make some people feel uncomfortable. But we promise you, Back in the Deck Productions is not out here to attack people or to make people feel attacked. Either way, viewer discretion is advised. Gotta love those pre-production walls, don't you? Oh, you know what? Just start the music. I mean, seriously, dude. This is getting crazy. Well, hello everybody out there. How you doing today? This is Stargrave, the cinematic sorcerer, coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. And welcome, my friends, to the dark side of the room. Now, this is the show where we talk about so many different things. I'm talking games, I'm talking life, I'm talking statistical analysis of mathematics actually used to help people protect themselves from folks that would have them like completely embarrassed in a game. I mean, just so many different things. I'm telling you, we run the lot. So, thank you guys, and thank God that it is Friday. Oh my God. So much going down. And if you guys got any questions about what's going down or comments or anything like that, then feel free, and I mean this, feel free to reach out and send an email at backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK @gmail.com. You can also reach out to me over on Instagram and Twitter. That's right, all those other places that you can reach out to with the social medias and all that jazz. Also, if you're part of that wretched hive of scum and villainy known as Facebook, then you should join our group, Deckers on the Book, because we are a bunch of really cool people that like doing stuff and talking to people and all of that jazz. But you know what? You don't have to do any of that stuff if you don't want to, but if you did, well, that would be a really big help to most of us. Also, feel free to like and subscribe if you guys are watching this over on YouTube at BidPBlurred. That is also the place where we do simultaneous streamcasts and all of that stuff that I enjoy doing with you guys. And second, if you guys get any value out of what we do here, we could definitely use your help. But Solar, what can I do? I mean, seriously, this is just a bunch of content. I don't do all that stuff. Well, it's simple. If you get any value out of this, I just put up a donation link right here, along with our Patreon and our merchandise store. Okay, like seriously, get yourself a coffee cup. Maybe get yourself a tote bag for your laundry, or not laundry, but for your groceries, with a little soul going, hey, Dad. And of course, you can always subscribe here on Twitch with your Amazon Prime, specifically the Amazon Prime Gaming account. And also head on over to BidPBlurred on YouTube, like, subscribe, and recommend that stuff to your friends. Oh my God, I got all the begging out of the way in about 3 minutes. So thank you guys for being here. Oh, it looks like Emperor Panda is in all the way from Scandinavia asking the tribal chief, that's what he calls me, a question. So Um, I am totally willing to field any questions. Um, also, if my ride or dies being Zan or Neon Arlecchino would be kind enough to put, oh man, Zan already beat me to it. With the Discord, the Discord invitation, you can totally join our Discord and talk to us pretty much all the time. And oh my god, all right, Emperor Panda has just sit up with one of those questions. Post-crisis Superman versus Simonson era Thor. Who would win in that battle? All right, we'll get into that. We will get into that. Because real talk, these are conversations that I have the ultimate answer to, and they're always anti-climactic. All right, because the real answer is depends on who's writing and for what company are they writing when the fight takes place. Well, whatever do you mean, Thuler? That does not sound like a very easy and straight to the point answer. It isn't. It really isn't. Because, yeah, Joe Simonson, Superman, really hardcore. You did pick a pretty balanced fight. And hey, what's going on, Citizen Splicer? Yeah, so, but really, it all just comes down to what company is writing what, okay? If the fight is published on a Marvel title, like in the Thor book, there is no way that Thor will lose ultimately. And if it's in a Superman book, there is no way that Superman will ultimately lose. All right, I mean, really, that's just where it is. All right, that's just that's the realness of all of it. Now, if I wrote it, I would honestly write it to a stalemate. Okay, because honestly, if we're talking the Joe Simonson era Thor and post-crisis Superman, they are about at equal power levels. But it's not who would win in a fight that interests me. What does interest me is why are they fighting? They're both good guys, you know. So do I pull the two teams of good guys? Where is my sugar? The two good guys are fighting. Did I put that all the way across the room? Yeah, I did. Hey. So, yeah, I mean, quite honestly, are they doing the normal comic book thing of they're fighting, woohoo! Thank you so much, Citizen Splicer. All right, that is awesome. And truthfully, that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do it. So, yeah, so it's like if they were going to fight together or fight against each other, is it the straight up, oops, I don't know who you are. Hey, look, they have superpowers and I don't know that. I don't know them. Must be him. Bang, 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 you know? So that is the real big question. And of course, this actually ties directly into what we're talking about today. But before we get on to that, and I'm glad you asked that question, Emperor Panda, because I'm going to tell you guys about my pre-production adventures, and then we are going to get into it. But in the meantime, let me just put this email thing back up here and grab my sugar. I shall be right back. Okay, now we're back, and for those of you guys that don't subscribe to the channel, we are going to go to commercial relatively soon. But with all that said, we are going to entertain this notion for just a hot minute. Okay, because why not? Why not? This is, again, it's Friday, and our thing about Casual Friday is, like, I like to have a lot of this stuff. So okay, if we're talking post-crisis Superman and the Walt Simonson era of Thor, all right, there are a couple of things we got to consider. All right, number one, Superman's powers were scaled back from anything that the writer needed to, which is sad because I miss the Superman he used to shoot out of his hand that took all of the Superman powers. He was only, he just happened to be like 7 inches, or what is that, like 130 centimeters or something tall. So that's actually kind of cool. Yeah, that was one issue. So the biggest thing on this, and this is coming from somebody who read the Marvel DC crossover where we got to vote, and as much as I voted back in the 90s, I did not think that it was fair for us to vote on that, but we'll get to that. So to answer your question, it is a very even fight in the sense of both of them had a limited set of powers, but the powers that they had were practically unlimited in scope. Okay, so what does that mean? That means Superman couldn't do everything all the time, and Thor stopped being turned back into Donald Blake when he lost the hammer for a hot minute. All right, so they took away both of those things, but their powers in and of themselves were on a scale just below the fourth world. Okay, so that is big. So let's look at these things back and forth and back and forth. In the Simonson era of Thor, he had a lot of magic on his side, but he's not a magic wielder. He's got the magic lightning. Okay, he's got the lightning, he's got Mjolnir, and he's got his normal stuff. Superman, however, is still vulnerable to magic. All right, he is vulnerable to magic, which means he'll actually feel Thor punching him, and that's really important. He'll feel the lightning, he'll feel Thor punching him, and that is a really big thing. Now, I like the reason that you said for the fight. Let's reread this. A powerful cosmic entity drawn to the unparalleled energies of both Superman and Thor decides to manipulate their perceptions and memories. And this entity, seeking chaos and testing the limits of these legendary heroes, convinces Superman and Thor that the other is a significant threat to their respective universes. And the truth is, honestly, what's going on, Daryl? What's going on? What's up? So yeah, Clarion the Witch Boy, or the Game Master, or even Mr. Impossible, who doesn't get enough love. So how would I write it? Who would win? Neither one. They would be beating each other to a bloody pulp, causing massive amounts of collateral damage until, wait for it. Okay, you ready for this? Shazam comes in with magic lightning and the wisdom of Solomon to break the spell. That is how I would stop it. Okay, so as long as we're doing these whole things, Thor and Superman fight each other to a stalemate, but Billy Batson, my Billy Batson, not the one from the movie, but yeah. Yeah, quite honestly, the fight would be stopped by Billy Batson, also known as Captain Marvel back in those days and known currently as Shazam. That is how I would write it, and then the three of them would have to team up and go against those guys. But that sounds like a team up between Mr. Impossible and Mr. Mitchell Spitlick. So that is the answer to your question, Emperor Panda. Let me know what you guys would say about that. Um, let's see. Yeah, making a movie about that would be fun. Oh, dude, it really, really would. It would be super expensive with all the freaking licensing alone, let alone the special effects required to make it happen. Because if I were doing a superhero movie that featured that kind of fight, I'm about to do a hot take. All right. Number one, I would not set it in New Mexico. All right. I sincerely do not want to make the same mistake as the Green Lantern movie or the first Thor movie did, which is look at these huge, cosmic, wondrous, beautiful things like Oa and Asgard and all that. Um, and now let me drop you in the desert. So we go from to a setting where we expect Walter White to be driving by in his freaking Pontiac in the background. That is just not cool. Um, you know, Now I would take a page out of the Zack Snyder book and put it in a populated area. Okay. Um, specifically, put the fight in a populated area, and since their perceptions are messed up, I would make it so neither one of them realized that they were in a populated area. Okay, and that is why I would have Billy Batson step in to stop it, because Billy or Shazam would be the one that can take on either one of them, not both, either one of them, and go, whoa, you guys are hurting lots of people. What's going on with this? Um, and that would be kind of awesome. That's what I would do there. And yeah, I'm pulling out the Impossible Man and Mitchell Spitlick because everybody pulls Brainiac, Darkseid, Game Master. Yeah. So, got another question coming up. From who was this? Neon Arlecchino. All right, Neon Arlecchino asked the question: who would get more viewers in a death trap competition, Arcade or Mojo? The answer to that is really simple. It is Mojo every day of the week and twice as many on Sundays. And I will tell you why. Mojo has galactic broadcasting, okay? Where Arcade is planetary. So Mojo already has a really big audience built in across hundreds of planets. Okay, hundreds of planets. So when Mojo is doing a death battle, he's getting more viewers than the channel that puts on Death Battle. If only anybody on YouTube could get those numbers, right? So yeah, that's the answer to that question. Oh man. So today, today I specifically put out the announcement that we were doing a Stargrave playthrough. Okay, we're planning on doing a Stargrave playthrough, and as I was putting the studio together, I kept getting all of the complications. Okay, and I mean this, like all of the complications. I could not get the cameras to work properly. I couldn't set the board up properly, and honestly, like it's all here in front of me, like it would normally be right off camera, but I just can't get the right camera angles, And I don't know. Maybe it's because I watch so many battle reports um from so many different places, but even the ones I'm qualified to do, like the ones from Old Hammer, they have three cameras set up on their tables specifically, and I'm dealing with one. Okay, and one of the things I'm really trying to do here, okay, is I'm trying to get um decent stuff going without showing you guys too much of how the sausage is made. You know what I mean? And I just can't seem to get the right stuff going. Okay. And I'm really trying. I'm really trying, guys. So yeah. Do 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 do. Because I really want to do this. So today I have a couple of things, and I pulled up a lot of stuff in pre-production. So we're gonna go over that, okay? Because here's the thing. Um, yeah, here's a really big thing that I personally have a problem with, and that is solo gameplay. All right. I'll give you guys my history on it when we get back, but we're about to take a 1 minute break so that well, I can generate some ad revenue kind of thing. So we'll be back in just a minute, guys. And remember, Amazon Prime, all that stuff. Check out the links that I'm putting here in the chat for donations, t-shirts, all that other stuff. Every episode is like a telethon drive. I hate it, but what can I do? I gotta pay my mortgage. By the way, super thanks and super shout out all the flowers that Back in the Deck has to give to Daryl for his donation from Wednesday. I didn't notice it until after we finished the show, but I wanted to give a major shout out for that. And thank you guys. So we'll see you guys in just a minute. Yeah, so 1980s Raven and 70s Doctor Strange, like all these fights are kind of cosmic and galactic and all that stuff. Um um so, if you guys are going to throw who would win in a fight if, let's tone down the power level a bit. Okay, because as much as I love talking about stuff like Green Lantern versus Silver Surfer versus Witchblade, their powers are too hyperbolic, if you will. Now, you want to talk about a fight between, say, one of the X-Men that isn't Storm versus Booster Gold? Yeah, we could play with that. Kind of thing. Neon Arlecchino was asking, which member of the Justice League could cause the most interesting but successful apocalypse? No. No. Because every single one of them is a world-shattering event. All right? So I'm not gonna say which of my favorite good guys could destroy the world better, you know? Um Honestly, if you're gonna go there, um Iron Fist with no powers versus Batman with no gadgets. Quite honestly, I would give that to Iron Fist. I really would. Batman is one of the top 30 fighters in his universe, but Iron Fist is in the top 5. Okay? Um, however, however, here's one for you. All right, here's one for you. Shang-Chi versus Nightwing. That would be cool. Matter of fact, that would be like a serious um that would be a serious um cool John Wick type kung fu scene. You know what I mean? That would be awesome. Oh, we're back from break. Yeah, Iron Fist no powers versus Batman with no gadgets. I would have to give that to Iron Fist. Like I said. But yeah, Shang-Chi versus Nightwing. That would be cool. That's something I'd like to see. Um like Daredevil versus Lady Shiva. That's some cool stuff. Those are the kind of fights that I think would be interesting to see on film. That kind of thing. Um, and so yeah, that's kind of a thing. And again, I love comics. Quite honestly, Neon, Bruce Banner versus John Carter. Um, that is a very even fight. We're talking Bruce Banner, not the Hulk, versus John Carter with no gadgets. Okay, so yeah, Booster Gold without gadgets versus Bruce Banner. Because see, Bruce is really intelligent, but John comes from the 30th century. So his level, it's a walk off. So his level of fighting, that level of fighting between Bruce and John, Um, I'm not sure because I'm not really sure which one of them can actually go straight up fisticuffs. But John's high school education is on par with Bruce Banner's postgraduate work stuff. Um, so yeah, that's kind of a thing. That is very much kind of a thing. So like I was saying, one of you guys, I know some folks reached out to me before, um, um, about what today's show was going to be about, and like I said, today's show was going to be about solo play. Okay, and why? Why would I do today's show about playing alone? And the answer is twofold. Twofold. Number one, solo play is almost, and I say this with gusto and with seriousness, is almost the way of the 21st century, at least down here in Southern California. And I'll tell you why. Um, in LA and Orange County, there is a lot of social trauma in the sense of folks spend a lot of time online, and most stuff online is anger bait, okay? But there is a huge amount of distrust, social anxiety, um, a lot of things that comes down to making people not really willing to talk to strangers, okay? Um, and I definitely noticed this in a lot of younger people when it comes to the fear thing. And when I say younger, I mean younger than Generation X, where Generation X is just tired of everybody and they don't want to talk to anyone. So our social interactions are becoming much, much, much less, um, much less standard and welcoming, I suppose is the word that I'm looking for. We don't talk to people as much as we used to. And as much as I wish that weren't the case, I'm aware that it is. So what do we do as gamers? Well, a lot of us gamers have our own little gaming group, you know, our real close friends, our ride or dies, as I call them, that we can game with. But as you get older, a very, very standard, normal, and habitual thing starts happening. And what is that? It's called life. Okay? People get jobs, they get married, they have kids. They end up not having as much time to play these games and do stuff like that. And one of the biggest things about that is that um I'm going to put this the realist um in the realist way that I can, guys. One of the biggest things about that is I so thought I turned you off. I normally put my phone on do not disturb because I get so many robot calls a day. It is disgusting. Um, so, like I was saying, um, the biggest thing about that kind of thing is when life happens, we start losing our playmates a little bit at a time, just little by little. It starts with one of our friends who gets married, and then that leads to like two or three more. And the stuff just comes down to where we start losing our playmates and our friends. But what happens if we still want to play things? You know, can we? Can we still play games? Can we still hang out with folks? Kind of, but not nearly as much as we used to, and not nearly as much as we might want to. Okay, and that's just the reality of growing up. You know, Neon Arlecchino is like, yeah, we play by ourselves and then we complain online. Um, am I being seen or attacked? Let me know. Um, So the fact is, life happens. And when you are not at the front of that line, give me just a sec here. When you're not at the front of that line of the people getting married, having kids, um, or all of that jazz, it can be a little lonely. Okay. Um, Now, real talk, because I only do real talk with you guys. I've never been a big fan of that particular play out because how can I put this? I've never been very dateable. I mean, I'm just being real with you guys. Yeah, dating and I never really um went along. I try, but I got reasons. Um so I end up having to play by myself out of necessity. Okay. Do I like it? No. Mm. So, so what are we gonna do about that? All right. Well, there are lots of games that we can play, and there's a lot of ways that we can play. But I found two, two major online engines. Okay, that we can use to play alone. All right. Now this is huge. This is really, really huge because this is straight out of the brilliant mind of Joseph McCullough. Now, a lot of folks would think like, okay, well, let's say I am going to play by myself. How do I keep from cheating? How do I keep from, how do I know what the team that I'm not playing as would do? And those are all fair questions. Those are very, 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 very fair questions. And this is what we're going to get into, okay? Because playing by yourself can have a lot of interesting rules and a lot of interesting gameplay, all right? Now, one of the things about solo play is, how can I put this? When I was young, there were things that we did in LA public school called rainy day activities. And what is that? A rainy day activity is essentially the stuff that you have the kids in class do when well, how can I put this politely? When it was raining and you couldn't send them outside to play. You want to send them outside to play, but you literally can't send them outside to play because they'll get sick and then parents will complain and it just becomes a whole thing. All right? So I think about that when it comes to I don't have the gas money to get to most of my friends, or my friends are recovering from the week at work, or in my case, a good amount of my friends are either pushing 50 or pushing 55, and they're at a point in their life where they really don't want to leave their houses. Okay, they go into hermit mode really hard. I am not a big fan of it, but I recognize it, you know. And whether or not I condone it means nothing. It literally means nothing whether or not I condone it, because if your friend don't want to come out the house, you don't show up at their doorstep with a rope and car keys. That's called napping. All right, and that's not what we encourage here. That's a whole lot of paperwork. That's not worth doing. So we end up playing by ourselves, you know? I mean that's a really big thing. Now, in the grave, or not in the grave. Hang on. In the game Frostgrave, or should I say game Frostgrave, Rangers of Shadow Deep, and Stargrave, Joseph McCullough put together a bunch of solo play scenarios. All right. And these scenarios all have their own missions and stuff like that. But they have what's called a tabletop AI, also known as a flowchart. And these things are really cool in making sure that you can play a game and still feel like there's some sort of challenge as long as you follow the flow. Excuse me, as long as you follow the flow chart. So we are going. Yes, yes. Um, there we go. So what we are going to do here is I am going to bring up the flow chart. It's actually published for free, and I'm going to leave a copy to the Joseph McCullough flowchart right here in the chat. Okay, and this is a flowchart that can easily be adapted to just about any game. All right, just about any game. And quite literally, it is one that works really well. So let's take a look at it. If I can game. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, there we are. Whew. Okay. Hang on. I'm trying to, nope, not there. There, center that. And let's take a look here. You see, guys, what we've got here. Where am I? Oh, fading in. All right. So what we've got here. There we go. At the top are the creature actions. Now, if you guys opened up this tab that I put up here, we're looking at page 5, the very final page of the document. Again, this is published and put up for free by Osprey Games. I recommend grabbing it because there's a lot. So it's actually pretty simple. The creature actions, and this is, you know, there are phases of Stargrave, and we'll get into that in the show today. Question 1, because it is a 3-question document. Okay, that's it. 3 questions. That's all you need to ask. Number 1, is the creature in combat? What does that mean? That means, are they base to base with someone and already fighting them when it's time to activate them? If the answer is yes, then it will use its action to fight. If it wins the combat, it will choose to stay in combat. If a creature is in combat with more than one opponent, it will attack the one opponent with the lowest health. Okay? So, are they in combat? Yes? Okay, they're going to go after the one that's most hurt. It's that simple. Okay, if the answer is no, then we go to the next question. Boop. Is there a warband member in line of sight? If they're not in combat, can they see someone? All right, now let's go down to our webcam. All right, and hang on here. No, no, and go through everything bit by bit. All right. So there we go. Hi. Okay, there we are. So let's set this up here. All right. So here we have this guy. So this is our scenario that we got. All right. So let us go to question 1. Question 1. Is the creature in combat? Well, this guy right here, yeah, these guys are in combat. So, what do they do when they're in combat? They resolve the combat. All right. Now, I've got my Stargrave stuff sitting up here, and that guy is, ooh, there we go. A robot versus a trooper. And let's see here. Where is, Here we go. Ah, yeah, a shock trooper. Now, this guy has a fight of +4. He'll be that die. Oh, sorry. He'll be that die. And this guy has a fight of +2. He'll be that guy. So, oh my God, +2 is 19, +4 is 18. So, he loses. Oh no, he lost the fight. Now, their armor rating is 13, and he was hit with a 19, so he takes 5 points of damage. Oh! And there we go. The fight has been resolved. All right? Now, let's move on to the other guy. Is there a warband member in line of sight? All right? So let's go to guy number 2. Well, he can't see anyone. He can't see this guy because he's behind. But can he see this guy? Well, if we draw a line of sight from base to base, barely. He can barely see him. So, if the answer is yes, if the creature, let's see, if yes, if the creature is armed with a missile weapon and there is a crew member in range, it will shoot at the closest eligible target. Let's see. It will take no second action. If the creature has no missile weapons, it will move as far as it can toward the closest visible figure, climbing obstacles as necessary. Now, this pirate shock trooper, okay, so this pirate trooper can see him and can see him but can't see him. All right, but the pirate shock trooper has a gun and he has a shoot of +4. So a shoot of +4 coming down on that versus that same shock trooper or that same heavy trooper who has a shoot of +2. So +4 and +2, but he's shooting into combat. So that increases his fight by another 2. So it's +4 and +4. Okay, so the dice are going to be a wash. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. 17 to 14. Yep, he shot him. And what is the armor rating on that guy? 11. So he takes 6 points of damage. Oh, shot him. And that, my friends, is that. Now let's say the answer was no. Let's say he didn't have a ranged attack weapon. He was just an up-close guy. Well, that being the case, this guy's got a movement of 5. Okay? So he can move 5, but he's wearing heavy armor, so he's kind of moving slow because, you know, the armor's really slow. So he can only move up 3 inches. And in Stargrave, he gets an additional 1.5 inches. And that's as far as he gets. All right? That's it. That's as far as he gets. Oh, wait, not that guy. All right? And if the answer is no to that, we move on to part 3. Okay? Now, part 3 is really interesting. All right? It really is. This is very, very interesting. Okay, let's go up here. Random movement. If the creature will make a full move in a random direction. If the creature moves into a wall or another obstacle, halt the movement at that point. Once this movement is complete, the creature has an action remaining. Go to step 2 real quick. And if no targets present themselves, then they'll be fine. So, how do we determine a random direction? Well, in Stargrave, we use an 8-sided die. And what's the reason? This guy is here. All right, we have a point that's pointing that way, so he'll go that way. His movement. Hey, look, he found a guy. Now, if it had rolled a different direction, aha, like there, then he would have gone that way. Okay, whatever direction that the die is pointing. Okay, we just take the number that's showing and we go at the top of it, where is it going? Okay, so the 8 would say he moves here. He hits a wall. Okay? This is super, super interesting and fun. You know, this gives us very much a sneaking stealth game kind of feel when we're playing by ourselves. Now, I personally like using a D10 because it's a lot easier to see where it's pointed. But a D8 is what it says in the book, and so that's essentially what I use. But the random determining things. So, is it already fighting? No. Can it see somebody? Yes. Can it move in that direction? Let's move in that direction. If it can't move in that direction, where does it go? All right? Now, as you guys know, I still love me. Love me some one-page rules, okay? And one-page rules themselves has an AI thing. Now, the difference between the two is within Stargrave, the AI is set to kill the opponent, not take the treasure and leave the board, not anything like that. Now, if you start having those kinds of questions, well, here in the link that I am pasting in the chat, isn't this fun? Ha ha ha. Are the AI rules for one-page rules. Again, both of these are free publications. You just follow that thing. This, believe it or not, I'm not giving you any Luffy type links. I'm literally just giving you what they gave. And again, we're here with the decision tree. Okay, so let's take a look at this decision tree. Are there any objectives under the AI control? Yes. Go to step 2. Are there any enemies in the way? If yes, charge the enemy if possible, or else advance toward the objectives and shoot if possible. Now, let's say that's a no. Then you go all the way to step 5. Are there any enemies in charge range? Okay. And you see, these flowcharts in and of themselves come down to what some folks would call basic common sense. Okay. But I don't believe in common sense. What I do believe, quite seriously, is that there are some questions that beg to be asked. And I'm a big fan of asking those questions. But when you're playing by yourself, in order to stay fair and see if you've put stuff together like that, these random AI charts are really good for most games. And I say most because it's really difficult to make them work with games like Magic the Gathering or, Warhammer 40K. And what is the reason? Well, those games rely a lot on shenanigans, okay? And what do I mean by shenanigans? They tend to revolve less around stat blocks and on lots and lots of stacking and synergy and all that stuff. If you're playing 40K, if your AI are Space Marines, do they have Oath of Moment? What are they going to charge? Do they get random mission cards in the same way that you do? Now, the Poor Hammer podcast was really awesome and put together a horde mode that essentially turned the opposing army into zombies, and it did that whole thing. I haven't played it yet, which is why I'm not featuring it today, because I don't want to bring up anything that I haven't actually done, okay? So I can't recommend it or not recommend it. I can say, I don't know. I need a little more experience with it. But what is the reason that we're going over these solo play AI things today and for this episode. We'll get to that right after these messages. Okay, guys, for those of you guys that haven't subscribed yet, now, that would be the time. But why am I saying that when you can't see the message? Anyway, yeah, it's odd that today's episode opened up with with what's the term? Fights, like comic book fights, which don't get me wrong, it's fun. Emperor Panda over here has put up one for Lady Shiva versus Taskmaster. Yeah, so let's see. Let me check the Discord while we're here. Doesn't look like there's any questions in the Discord, which is fine. It's fine. It's fine. And that's okay. That's perfectly okay. But yeah, so we're talking about this stuff because, as I said, guys, a lot of folks out there, they're getting very, very, like, a lot of folks are getting really fed up with the tournament culture. Oh, hi guys, we're back. Yeah, so I was saying that a lot of folks out there are getting really fed up with the tournament culture of going head to head in games. All right. As you guys know, I play like 7 or 8 different miniatures games. And what brings me to this conclusion? What I've seen, and this is one of the reasons that I complain about tournament thinking so often, is that in games that have tournaments that are supported by the publishing companies that put them out, they tend to fall into 2 major traps. Okay? Trap number 1 is, of course, power creep. Okay? Escalation of abilities that make the stuff that you have today not very good within the tournament scene 6, 7, 8 months from now. And if you've been in a game for a long time, that means you'll have a bunch of stuff around that'll be useless in the tournament scene. Now, back off of your keyboards for just a minute, okay? It's really easy to go like, well, no, because you don't have to play with tournament rules. On paper, you're absolutely right. You don't have to. But, and I'm reaching out to you older players out there to back me up on this. When was the last time you guys played a game of Warhammer 2nd Edition? Or Hero Clicks with figures from 4 years ago? Just with figures 4 years ago. Nothing newer than 4 years. People are like, well, with Magic, you can play legacy stuff. Yeah, you can play legacy stuff within tournaments, okay? But the rules and the zeitgeist for competitive, organized play tends to be the default way to play. All right, I'll tell you a story. And this is one of the reasons that I have such a hard time playing with my friends today. I have a group of friends that are really good friends, okay? They're up there, they're riders. Ride or die, not with me, but with each other, all right? And they would only play tournament rules because in their eyes, the tournament rules were specifically written by the people who wrote the game to be the most balanced and the most fair. I hated that because with tournament rules leads themselves to the second pitfall, not just power creep, okay? Power creep is a really big pitfall, but the second, and this is really big, guys, the second problem with tournament build or tournament play comes down to feel free to play what you want, but you've got to be aware of the meta in order to actually play the game and not lose the game by being canceled at every single step. Okay? Tournament play and the tournament culture really pushes efficiency and efficacy within gameplay. Now, stop. Back up. Get off your keyboards. Okay? Get off your keyboards and let me cook. All right? Um, we talk a lot about the Timmy, Johnny, and Spike mindsets in gaming. But even the article that originally wrote it based the principles not on how people like to play, but how they like to win. Okay? This is important because in the original framing of this, it was based on a Timmy loves the centerpiece, loves the, hey, look, I just got this cool new thing. Look at this cool, wacky thing. But the Timmy can win 7 out of 10 games. Okay. But if that Timmy wins those 7 without featuring their player piece, they won't be happy. So it's not play with what you want, it's win with what you have to work with. And what you have to work with is mostly determined by the meta. I'm sorry to tell you guys, this is just the thing. All right? And this is one of the things that makes a lot of tournament head-to-head games unfun for people, because the game is not based on gameplay, it's based on the build. Okay? Your Magic game is not just how you play the game. It's primarily upfront, point of contact cost, based on how well you built your deck versus how well the opponent built theirs. And in tabletop miniatures gaming, that is the most expensive pay-to-win thing that there is. And if you don't believe me, look at all of the ways that metas end up winning. Okay? They all have the same stuff. Like I play Thousand Suns and 40K. If I don't put Magnus the Red on the table, then, I mean, I will put Magnus the Red on the table because he's a cool looking model. And I'm like, look, he's a big giant with wings. Oh, look at my wings. And look at my horns. But my horns are on my head, not on my nipples. He's a really cool model. However, any team that I can build with 1,000 Suns loses 40% of the 1,000 Suns flavor and 60% of their efficacy if I don't take Magnus the Red. And if I'm playing against someone who plays in the tournament scene, there's no discovery. They're going to bring their efficient armies versus my fun army. But most of the time, it's not even that I'm not going to win. I'm just not going to actually be able to play. And this happened to a lot of my friends during the time of War Machine. When War Machine was the bee's knees, this was around 8th edition of 40K. Before it became the bee's knees, players in my area had fun playing with what they wanted to play with, win or lose. But when the tournament rules started becoming more prevalent and more balanced and more fair, then the people that didn't build within that framework had no fun. Because, I mean, I'll tell you honestly, I played the army called the Protectorate of Medoff. And they were a control army. They were a lot like playing the blue deck in Magic the Gathering. And most of my spells and stuff were about canceling special abilities of other people and all this other stuff. So my entire army said, I don't care what upgrades you have. We are slugging this out man to man, base stats. It's that simple. Everything I had, all of the debuffs that I had, essentially made all of the buffs that my opponent have a wash. Okay. And it leveled the playing field to make it so that we just had to outplay each other versus out gadget each other, if you will. However, once the tournament scene for that game really got up and going, the armies that I built had no chance against most of the armies that were built for tournaments. Okay. They put the language of, well, I have to have answers for the stuff that you're going to bring. Not because I liked bringing it, but because I had to bring certain things in order to just keep up with what was out there. Okay. There was really no choice in my building. And as my options for building teams started here, they became more and more and more and more narrow, which really sucked because of all the models that I'd bought. And then all of a sudden, boom, 70% of my collection was not viable to play with because of the way that everyone around me was playing. Okay. And that turned me off to a lot of tournament type play. And that turned off most of my friends from playing games that are capable of being head to head tournament type games. Okay. If it's possible to exploit, they don't want to play it because they don't know people that won't exploit it outside of myself. Okay. So, why do I bring this stuff up when it comes to solo play? Well, one, that's kind of the reason that I play solo. But here's the second thing. These flowcharts, these tabletop AIs, are the primary tool for turning a head-to-head game into a co-op game. Okay? Think about that. All right? If you get rid of the shenanigans from the other team and say, hey, let's see if we can survive a monster onslaught, or can we go rescue the folks from this thing over there? You see what I mean, Panda? Your question today came up with exactly what we were going to be talking about. Let's give a reason for this alliance to happen and for these figures to fight. Let's add just a little bit of plot and see if they can do it. It turns the game, in modern parlances, from poker, where it's head to head, and you're reading not just the cards, but the body language and doing the math and all this other stuff that not a lot of people find fun. And when I say they don't, if they weren't going to win money, would they still do it? Okay. To blackjack, where it's the whole table against the dealer. Okay. And as long as the dealer is like, look, I can take that, then yeah. They used to call it three-headed monster in Magic the Gathering, I believe. But instead of having one person try and take on a room full of people, you have a room full of people trying to take on the AI. And the random element of movement, okay, where do they go on patrol? They're going to walk in that direction. You can't predict that. You can't really plan for it. So you end up with a group of people, 2, 3, sometimes even 4, trying to take care of a thing, and now it's a team. Okay. It turns the war game into something more like a board game or a tabletop role-playing game. Okay. And this is not a bad thing. I find that when I get older gamers that have been burned by the competitive scene, and a lot of women gamers, okay, a lot of women gamers that don't come from a culture that says might makes right, okay? This is a collaborative and soft power type way to play games that are based on, ooh, I'm gonna butt heads with you until one of us can't get up no more. Yeah, and this is a really good compromise. Okay, it's a really good compromise because it allows people to play games. Don't worry about whether or not they've built the thing properly, whether or not all of the work that they put into putting together this cool team is just going to get shut down on turn one. Because I can tell you, having taught hundreds of people how to play games over years, hundreds of people, the biggest, I want to say unspoken concern, but it's not unspoken. It's privately confessed concerns, the things that people have privately confessed to me when it comes to why they're not interested in stuff once they realized I wasn't going to judge them, is a lot of the times, and y'all know it as much as I do, when gamers get together in a competitive sense and they're having the power fantasy of violence, which is what a lot of this stuff is, they become unpleasant to be around if you're not on the same page. I mean, quite seriously. Sometimes there are great people, like all the ones over at Play on Tabletop, all the ones over on oh my god, I can't Tabletop Tactics, you know, those guys, and of course the guys at miniwargaming.com. All of those guys are the cream of the crop when it comes to sportsmanship and fun play. They're the ones that taught me the term tilted. And when a lot of people end up playing head-to-head games, somebody is going to get tilted, which is off-center, upset, in a place where the game is not fun any longer, relatively quickly. And that is where what my friends call feel-bad moments happen. And why would you sign up for that when you want to have fun? Okay? And these are the things that have been privately confessed to me after just needling and needling, saying, look, what I'm trying to teach people how to play games and nobody's telling me why they're not interested, so I can't solve it. So are you telling me to kill my business entirely, or will you help me get a solution? You know, and once they're like, oh, well, see, I was concerned that you were going to try and convince me the other way. I'm like, I might, but I'd have a much better chance convincing you to try something if I know what your problems are with it and I can alleviate those problems, instead of I have a problem with it, I give up, I'm not going to do it. You know, if I sound like I'm getting a little passionate, I am. I've been at this for 10 years, and my neurospice gives me a huge problem with a flat no with no explanation. Okay, it literally makes me feel like my answer is no, and you are not worth talking to or confiding in. You're not worth working with, and you're not worth compromising with. My answer is this, and shut up. That's what it feels like to me. I'm in therapy to try and work through that. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people put up that wall because they're afraid of a lot of stuff. Okay? So when they privately confess to me what it is they're really concerned about, because they never want this getting back to the people that do it, because it can cause conflict, because no one, not a single gamer, wants to look at their friend and say, I make the game uncomfortable for you, and I'm not going to stop because that's how I am, and if you don't like it, tough, we can't be friends anymore. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. Every gamer is afraid that that's the result they're going to get, so they would rather preserve the friendship and just not go there. Okay? And I can understand, because again, it's that hardline no. It is the, I'm defining myself by the boundary that I put down, and if you cross it, then you're the jerk, right? And all I see that do on a day-to-day basis is limit what people can do with each other. And since I tend to be the fiscally most disenfranchised of all my friends, it's like, sorry, man, I can't go with you to the tiki bar. And I don't drink like that anyway. So I can't go with you to the tiki bar because I can't afford the gas, I can't afford the parking, and I can't afford $15 per drink, even if I were to drink. You see what I mean? But I can afford all of these games that I have, and I would love to spend time with you and we can play. And when the answer is no, I kind of get a little tilted myself. You know, but a lot of people want to avoid being tilted, but they're quiet about what actually tilts them. All right. But the easiest answer to that is co-op. It's not me against you. Yeah, it's not me against you. It's me with you. Let's take this down. And quite honestly, one of the places that board games will always have it over war games is even when the board game is um is competitive, the rules apply to everyone. There is no customization. There are no shenanigans. There's no, if I study this book for 19 hours, I can find a loophole that I can use that other people can't use that will give me the edge to win. You see what I mean? They stay games instead of sports. Okay? Um, and I mean that. Again, a lot of people ask, what's the difference between a game and a sport? And the answer to that question is perspective of play. Okay? When you play a game, there are takesy backsies. There are there are much fewer mind games. When you tell a friend, dude, I wouldn't do that because this is what I can do in response, that's playing a game. Okay? Um, but sports, yeah, sports are about the competition. The let's put our skills head to head to see who comes out on top, which is fine if that's what you agree to. But the thing I used to tell my old boss when I worked at a game store is that that's not fun for everybody. You know, a lot of these games, and let's be real, okay, a lot of this stuff is pay to win. All right, it really is. When you're looking at it competitively, it's pay to win. It requires montages. I mean, that's just how it goes. All right, that is literally just how it goes. The new thing will always make what's on the table more powerful. Um, and well, way back in the days when I was playing War Machine, I worked at a game store and I had a 30% discount, a steady paycheck, and I had relatively low bills. Um, However, I didn't have a stable internet connection, which meant I couldn't read all the FAQs. I couldn't read the erratas. I couldn't be up to par because I had to choose. Do I get a phone or do I get the internet? Well, I can't be called in if somebody is late for work through the internet. It wasn't up to that standard yet, guys. Um, and I'm like, look, I don't have the resources of most of our customers. So when they ask me about all this tournament stuff, I literally can't answer the question. I don't have the materials to learn. I'm like, y'all don't pay me enough to pay my bills, have a phone, and have the internet. And I'm not asking for a raise, but I am asking you to assign being up to date with every single tournament rule to someone else in the store. Okay? Or if you want me to be up to par, bring me a printout of the new stuff. You know, if I'm going to be a judge at a tournament over the weekend, bring me a printout of the erratas and all that stuff the Wednesday before our tournament, and I'll do it. But since I don't have access to the information because it's stuck behind a paywall, um, I can't keep up. Okay? And that is really one of the big things that came out. But this was back in 2003. All right, now everybody has internet, everybody has all that stuff. But again, the difference between a game and a sport. A game is something that you pick up and play. A sport is something that you practice. Okay? Think about that. You practice a sport. You don't go to Monopoly practice. You don't go to Settlers of Catan practice, you know. But you go to basketball practice. You go to soccer practice. All right? Um and it's easy to say that these things are just games. But when your approach to playing is more like an athletic sport, then are you really playing a game or are you being an athlete? Okay, this is the difference between casual and competitive play. And casual people like playing casual games. And a lot of competitive players get away from your keyboard. A lot of competitive players talk about playing casually, think that they play casually. But casual players have defined playing casually as something that you do in your free time. Okay, they just pick up a game and they would like to play a game. They do not want to spend 2.5 hours a day studying the game, studying tactics, looking at tournaments. Okay, that's not what they want to do. I always equated it to a pickup game of basketball versus being on a team. Okay. Um, Primarily, the people around me were saturated with sport culture. Um, and when it comes to playing games head to head, okay, head to head, when you're using tournament rules, that means you're injecting athleticism into a game. And a lot of people aren't down with that. This is why the majority of people that you end up playing Warhammer 40K or Grimdark Future um, or Kings of War or, all that stuff, most of the time, the main place that you can play is in a tournament setting. Okay. And let's use some freaking corporate jargon. It's not a tournament, it's organized play with rules of conduct, rules to the game, um, published rules as to what is legal to play and what is not legal to play, that kind of thing, you know. Um, Organized play, tournament, whatever. It's the main way that most people play together. And this is coming from someone who's gone to 15 stores in the past 5 months just looking for a casual pickup game of Warhammer 40K and has found two people were two people out of 15 stores were willing to actually sit down and just play a game of 40K with me. Now, if I were to go to a tournament, I have guaranteed players, but I have to play within the athletic place, okay? The athletic culture, okay? But Stargrave, much easier because it's a lot of collab, okay? And collaborative games, playing games with people, um, actually does open up an area of play that is normally closed to people that are just tired. And I mean tired. Not bitter at, not saying that these are bad people, just tired of all the work that goes in to the athleticism of competitive games. Okay? Let's take a commercial break. And this is the minute that I'll let my subscribers tear me a new one for everything I just said. All right, guys. Let's see who's still here. Oh, I see Carthulu's in the house. What's up? Zan. Yeah, okay. Zan, you like tiki bars. I don't know very many people who don't. Neon Arlecchino is there, which is funny because Neon Arlecchino and I actually met at a HeroClix tournament. Um, but I think, okay, so yeah. So hit me up, guys. Like, what's your thoughts on everything I just said? You know, because I'm willing to hear alternative points of view, but mostly I'm sharing what I've come to find. Um, yeah, what I've come to find over my years of play, you know, and some of the solutions I've been able to find, you know. Now, I could be wrong. I could just know a lot of gamers that don't like me and don't like playing with me. It is possible. It's difficult for me to discern because of my neurospice and how much people, at least in LA, this could be nationwide, are not honest about their communication. So, hey guys, looks like we're back. All right, I was also here checking out who's around, who's watching. Hey, Daryl, you know, that kind of thing. Um, so yeah, ooh, I like the differentiation between players and athletes. Well, thank you very much. I've been looking for words for that because a lot of people ask me that question all the time. And again, it all comes into your approach and how much time you spend playing versus prepping to play. And I don't mean painting your minis, okay? I mean building your team, looking for loopholes, checking out the metas, checking percentages. These are all things that athletes do that you don't do when you get a game from Target. you know. And if you don't believe me, look for a Gloomhaven playthrough or a Risk playthrough. I mean, quite seriously. Um, yeah. Greek means competitive. Oh, I did not know that. I did not know that athlete comes from the Greek word for competitor. So yeah, that makes absolute sense. But yeah, as I said, I've been looking for this. Tried talking to Tanya the War Mistress about it and didn't quite have the words. Um, but yeah, and again, I make it very clear to people that I like playing games. I just want to play. That's the whole thing. Win, lose, I want to play. But a good amount of time, okay, a good amount of the time, guys, competitive players have become accustomed just through culture, not through any not through any character flaws or failing of character or anything like that, but just through the culture of competitive play, they tend to um not focus as much on playing as much as they do winning. Thank you, Zan. A player may be competitive, but the game comes first. For the athlete, the game is a vehicle for the competition. Oh my God, that is. Tell me you wrote that, because I want to know who I'm stealing from at this point. Like, that is great. Yeah, that is exactly it. For competitive players, the competition is the number one thing. And real talk, guys, I've never been very competitive. I have never been a very competitive person. Um, I see me, so I don't need a victory to have someone else recognize me, you know. Um, if I win, if I lose, but I come from a special set of circumstances, being the strange, smelly, fat kid that no one wanted to be around. So my standard was, will you play with me? Yay, you're playing with me. Did I win? Don't care. Got to play. And that's more than I generally got. And that's where I'm happy. You know? Now, there's a difference between will you play with me? And then the answer is, yeah, let's play front hand, backhand. You know? And I know that is what a lot of people feel when it comes to playing a casual game with competitive folks. Thank you, Zen. I am totally stealing that. Those are the words that I have been looking for. Thank you. Um, yeah. And I do want to bring something up, though, because again, when I put this on my social medias, I see the future. And that future is a bunch of hate mail. Um, and how do I know? Because of the arguments that I've gotten in over the years, okay? And what do I mean by that? Well, whatever do you mean, Tholer, the arguments that you've gotten into over the years? When I say a lot of athletic players don't know that they're that way, I hear all the time from tournament players, what? I play casually. No, you just don't leave your house and go to tournaments. Okay? That is the really big thing. All right? That is a super thing. Most tournament players who study the meta and look for loopholes and try and shut down their opponents with customizable games and things like that, they think that they're casual because they are falling under something called anchoring bias. All right? What is anchoring bias, Solar? We came here to talk about games, not psychology. Let me cook. All right? Anchoring bias is something I talk about all the time. I'm just using the official phrase because I'm tired of not. And that is having the belief that I guess you can say setting your belief on how something is based on the way that you first encounter it. All right? So, when you learn how to play a game in a competitive environment, then your filter of how that game is played will be competitively. Okay? That's just the whole thing. And when people say I'm a casual player, yet everything that they do what's anchoring bias precious. It's like I said, it's the belief that the way you learn something is the essence and the core of what that thing is. Okay? So, when I first learned how to play HeroClix, I first learned it when it came out. Okay, I'm dead serious. When it came out in 2002, I was there. And there were no tournament rules. There was no tournament environment. So I was anchored in, oh my God, this is a game where if you have the argument of who can beat up who, you can just take it to the board. That is awesome. And they're toys and I don't have to paint them. This is great. And that's where I sat with it. But a lot of people learn games like HeroClix and 40K and War Machine and blah, 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 and blah, 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 within the context of tournament play. This is why one of the big things that we teach here at Back in the Deck when we're teaching games is teach the people the mechanics and not the strategy first. Okay? A lot of people, when they teach how to play a game, they go directly to how to win. They will teach a rule and then they will teach how to exploit that rule. That is the tournament paradigm. Okay? Actually, Zen, that's Elrond to Gandalf back in 2002. I was there, Gandalf, in 2002. Oh, okay. Gotcha. If you're calling me Gandalf, then the quote's right. Yeah, so that's a really big thing. And I know a lot of people who learned within tournament play who don't think that they're tournament players, that say that they play casually, but they build tournament teams, they play tournament strategies, and they get tilted when their strategies don't work in the same way they would if they were in a tournament and a prize was on the line. Unfortunately, and this is something I talk to with my best friend, or talk to my best friend about all the time, is because as much as we have organized play, we also do not cultivate sportsmanship within the realm of organized play. And that comes down to that whole phrase that was right there. When competition becomes the number one thing, we've put sportsmanship off the table. Now, there are sociological reasons for that, like the 1980s in the United States, okay? And our current school and work culture that's focused more on getting the right answer than it is reasoning your way to there, all right? i.e., everything is competitive and we only care about the winners, not the most improved, not the most helpful, not the most useful, just the one who crosses the finish line. If you don't believe me, who's the drummer of your favorite band? Now, who's the lead singer? All right. Take the star of the movie and then, name the actor who played the henchman to the bad guy. All of these players, all of these components are very important, but we only focus on the winner, the victor. You see what I mean? And that's what people are fighting for, So I get it. I understand it on a level. I don't particularly play that game, but I see that game. And when I talk about stuff like this, um, I see the damage that it has done over time, which is why I focus on the just play. Do you win? Do you lose? Who cares? Can you take back a move if you didn't see it? Yeah, sure, don't care. Let's whatever keeps the game fun for all parties, not just the one winning. Okay? This is one of the reasons that when Back in the Deck teaches a game, we always say if you're winning and your opponent isn't having fun, then you're playing incorrectly. You know, because we've moved in to the realm and the culture of quiet protest. Okay? And what does that mean? That means a person will humor you, um, and then once they stop having the fun that you wanted them to have, they'll literally never play with you again. They'll never play that game with you again. They'll never play that game again. In fact, a lot of people, and I've seen this from a lot of significant others, will come to resent the games and the hobbies. But it's not the games and the hobbies that they resent. It's who the person that they're connected to becomes when they play. And this is a really big thing. Because if doing something fun brings out the worst in you, yeah, I wouldn't want to be around that either. You know? So, what are one of my solutions to this? Because, real talk, guys, if I ever find myself dating again, I want to date somebody that I can play with, that I can share my love of games with, or who has my love of games. But the last person I was with was hyper competitive. They were very, very athletic, and they would go for the throat on every single thing, which personally I didn't mind, primarily because I was better at most of the games that they were playing. So they would go for the throat, and I would outmaneuver, or I would dodge it, and then they would get mad. They would get super angry. And I'm like, well, if you read the rule book, you'd see that's there. I don't have to read the rule book. Arr! And I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. To a point where I didn't want to play anything with them anymore, because the game was secondary, the competition was first. And I'm the opposite. The game is first, the competition is secondary. But if a person who puts the competition really high up, who goes straight to rotten apples, or sour grapes, who goes straight to sour grapes, loses to someone who's not even very competitive, then their ego gets kicked even harder. So instead of dealing with that, I'm like, well, maybe we can play cooperative games. Let's see if we can get our superheroes together to take down Darkseid. How's that? Let's see if we can play this game where we're attacked by monsters and we have to get across the board. How's that? Let's play together instead of against each other. Oh, wow. Let's see here. Xanathades says, I would argue that putting competition first might create a tendency for whack. That is win at all costs, if you guys are new. But I don't accept that you can't put competition first without an insistence on sportsmanship. I suppose to me, once you pass a certain point, you're no longer competing, you're winning, regardless of whether or not you win successfully or even just bullying. I'm with you on that. One of these days, I'm just going to have you as a Zoom guest. I'm dead serious. I'm not saying that people can't put sportsmanship with their competitive natures. What I'm saying is, where I am in the United States, people don't more often than they do. I know that they can. I wish that they would. But a lot of folks, too many people, too many places that I go, don't put that sportsmanship side by side with the competition. My old best friend straight up told me once, because understand, my favorite game to play is actually Go. And in Go protocol, um, when you know that you can't win, you shake hands and say, "Hey, um, good game, you beat me." Okay? And seriously, where I was, specifically Orange County, California, I got crap for that all the time. All the time. When I saw that I couldn't win, I'm like, "Good game, man. You beat the crap out of me. I can do nothing more." I was like Goku fighting Frieza. I'm dead serious. And people gave me crap for that. Like seriously gave me crap. I'm like, "What do you want? You beat me." like I there's nothing more I can do with the team I'm with or with the deck I've got. I can't get any more. I found out that this is called talking out the game. Like I did that. I was always cool. But my old best friend said, when you do that, you take away their victory and take away their right to gloat. And I'm like, hold up. It's not fun for me to be a punching bag for somebody. It's one thing to say, "Hey, you beat me." You beat me, let's play again or let's play something else. Versus, I've got no way to do this and I'm just going to sit here for 5 more turns and just get stomped on. I'm trying to move forward. Nope, can't do that. Nope, can't do that. Nope, can't do that. Seriously, that's not fun for me. Okay. And I used to tell my boss, look, it makes me feel like I'm a white belt sparring against Chuck Norris. You know, um, like I want to play, I want to get better, but I also know that once I've hit as far as I can go, that's it. You don't believe me? Play with my deck. Uh huh. Yeah, the tent pole has been killed. Now keep playing. Oh, look, there's no support for anybody else on the table, so it's just a matter of whittling and whittling and whittling and whittling. So, yeah, my main guy's been killed. All of my big spells are used. There's nothing left. You know? Um, if I played a miniatures game like War Machine or HeroClix, I'm like, yeah, guess what? I've got 2 cops left on the board. All of my X-Men are gone. And I'm up against 2 speedsters and Magneto. Good game. Good game. There's nothing I can do, you know? And nope, I was told that I was supposed to sit there and play the game until every person on the table was dead. And I'm like, yeah, that's not fun. Because all that is seriously just standing there getting beat on, you know? Let's see. Um, let's see here. Oh, Zan, you're seriously vocal today. I love it. Uh-huh. Oh. Now, the Johnny, your thing about the sportsmanship thing, that's not a Johnny take. Um, Again, it's that win versus play kind of thing. Again, when I talked about the Johnny Timmy Spike thing, the the whole article was about the way that they like to win, not the way that they like to play, because it specifically pointed out, I wish I could find it, I would pull it up. It specifically pointed out that they could win other ways, but they're not happy unless they win that way that they're playing. Okay? Um let's see. Yes. Yeah, and in that context, the right way is as a good sport. Yeah, there are yes, there are other ways to play and ones that might be more efficient, but this is the way I want to win. Yeah, yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. Um and yeah, that's really the whole thing. And I've seen people play outside of the way that they're comfortable winning, or you know um in the same time, me as my Timmy way. This was when I was playing the Lord of the Rings card game, and I built a deck that was Gandalf. Look at Gandalf. Gandalf is doing it. Gandalf is holding off everything while the hobbits make their run. Go on for it. And when my boss tweaked my deck, it was still a Gandalf deck, but it was of the 7 companions. Everybody got mostly equal stuff, and then Gandalf got a little bit extra. But I couldn't play all the spells I was playing and stuff. I had to support Aragorn and Boromir and Merry and Pippin. And my boss actually saw I was winning more games, but I wasn't having as much fun because my deck didn't feel like the Gandalf deck I wanted. It was a fellowship deck with Gandalf at the helm. Um, you typically think of Timmy, Johnny, and Spike as operating within the mechanics of the game itself, but there's more to playing than just the rules. It's true. It's true. Um, Again, when I teach people how to play, I start with the rules, just the rules. And then after they have a good sense of what the rules can do, I encourage them to discover their language, their style. You know, are they Timmys? Are they Johnnies? Are they Spikes? Do they want to play all this other stuff? Like, I like to encourage people to play the exploitation and all that stuff. But but when it comes to going straight to Johnny, Timmy, or Spike, when you're learning how to play, I find that athletic players do that the most. Um, and when I say athletic, I mean actually bad sportsmen. They do that the most because they want to hurry up, master, and be better than their teacher. This is something I saw a lot in the 90s and early 2000s with the idea of, well, I can beat my teacher, so what do they have to teach me? Kind of thing. And again, this was the culture back then. I'm pretty sure it's changed. But a lot of cultural bad habits tend to change more slowly within gaming communities. Um, I am the master now. Yes, yes, that's exactly what they were kind of going for. And it's like, dude, I just taught you how to measure movement, you know? Um, or what right do you have to teach me when you barely know? And I'm like, okay, all right, fine, whatever. Um, Personally, I don't like the term master. I've got reasons. um, but yeah, I mean, it really is that kind of a thing where a lot of folks are less, you said it perfectly, you know, the game is secondary, the competition is number one. So the game is a delivery system for the competition versus the competition being a delivery system for the game, you know? And I just like playing. I like playing, you know? Um, and I find that um, a lot of the places that I go, um, laid back players, a lot of women players, they aren't as concerned with the competition. Hey, yeah, Mike, you're really late to the party because we only got like 15 minutes left in the game, or left in the show. But what I find is playing cooperatively, okay, playing cooperatively kind of takes that edge off. Now, I've played cooperative games with people that were just that level of controlling and condescending. Okay. I mean, the exact bully thing that we talked about a little earlier. And I'm like, dude, I'm playing this game. You're playing this game. We're playing together. Stop telling me where to go and what to roll. Let me play instead of just being an additional hand or a method for you to get an additional turn. Okay. Um, and again, a lot of this comes from result oriented play. You know, it's we have to succeed at the mission, you know, and we have to succeed at the mission with no casualties, no injuries, and nothing. The way that I plan this is the perfect way to do it. Do not question me. And that's where the competition comes in. It's not about playing the game. It's about being right. Um, and with players that are like that, not much that you can do. But if you're playing with a player that's afraid that you might be like that or have way too many bad experiences with players that are already like that, cooperative games could very much be their way. All right. Um, and again, with these free things, the Stargrave creature action randomization chart. This allows Stargrave, Frostgrave, and the Rangers of Shadowdeep um, to be cooperative games, um, as well as the solo and co-op rules for the games from one page rules. Now, they do come with a few scalebacks, okay? Example, I've tried using the co-op rules with 40k, or the solo play rules with 40k, using all the shenanigans that comes with. And this leads me to my final point. When it comes to games that are very crunchy, in order to use the solo or co-op rules, one person has to know all of the crunch. They have to have really good teeth. Now, with Grimdark Future and the stuff from one page rules, pretty easy, because those games are not crunchy. They're very lightweight. So when it comes to, do they move? Do they this? Those games don't have as many command phase shenanigans or back and forth stuff when it comes to synergy between stuff. They have it, but not a lot. The most that you'll get is this figure this figure and their unit. This hero and their unit can do X. Okay? But most of the time, they've pretty much taken all the shenanigans and they've just made them keywords. So it is really a thing that can be done. But when it comes to stuff like 40k, as you guys know, I'm a Thousand Suns player, and that is all shenanigans all the time. Sorcery points, how am I using them? Do I use a command point to do this with that to give me a reroll here or to stop the damage over there, and then enhancements and all that other stuff, just stack upon stack upon stack. If you're having the AI do that type of thing, then that is where stuff gets a little wacky. Okay, it gets a little wacky. However, if you take away the synergistic shenanigans and leave auras and leader abilities and even the enhancements, that's fine too, because that comes down to, okay, for this turn the whole army gets to do this, so that's only one thing to take care of. But when it comes down to, well, this character has this, and that, all that other stuff, that can be a lot of bookkeeping. And not to say that it can't be done, not to say that you shouldn't do it. If you're up for that much bookkeeping and you can keep all that stuff straight by yourself, dude, go for it. Have all of the fun that you want to have with that. I'm not like that. That's not me. In truth, I don't like playing campaign board games and miniatures games because of all the bookkeeping and the fact that I may go a month without seeing my gaming friends. So where do we leave off? I leave my bookkeeping to the RPGs. But yeah, that's just my whole thing. But again, I'm gonna put these rules in the chats again so that you guys have access to them, because again, they're free to download, and they're free to download, and they're free to use, and they're free to print, and all that other stuff. So you guys can give it a shot. But the flowchart of it is really, really cool. Again, I'm a big fan. Oh, hang on. Why isn't this? Oh, yeah. Again, the YouTubey tube. Oh, no wonder. Nope. There. Oh, looks like it's too big for the YouTube thing. So that's okay. I'm also going to put this stuff in the Discord. And again, the Discord, really fun. Really easy to get to. What is that? Is that one page rules? Assets. Okay, cool. Copy. Boom. Yeah, just putting them back here. Boop. Boop. There we go. Because oh man, yeah. My live stream thing is being weird. There we go for the Osprey thing. And finally, copy and paste. Oh no, the one page rules one really too big for the YouTube link, but you guys watching on YouTube, you can literally just head over to one page rules and you can download them directly. Just pick your game, be it Grimdark Future Firefight, Age of Fantasy Skirmish. Scroll down a little bit and it'll say download, and you guys can do that. By the way, hello everyone that's watching on YouTube. This is awesome. Let's see who else we got. I want to see participants. Nope, it says just me. Anyway, if you guys are watching on YouTube, remember to hit that like and subscribe. And all of those regular call to actions that happen with all that stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Hit the like and subscribe. Leave me a thumbs up. And help me get to the 1,000 subscribers by the end of February thing. I am going to be putting up a lot more stuff. A whole lot more stuff. As time goes on. Okay, I'm going to be filming stuff, and I'm going to be putting the stuff up on Patreon. Not new year, new me, but new year, new habits. All right. Now that I got a lot of stuff at home taken care of, I can actually rewrite my workflow, especially since I have a second YouTube channel where I'm teaching how to play bass guitar and music for people that just want to learn how to play and aren't looking to be rock stars. But with all of that being said, guys, I want to thank you guys for showing up. Let's see. What is this, Neon? A gaming old folks home could be lucrative and allow campaign games. You're not wrong. You're not wrong on that. Yeah, and make no mistake, when I get access to more old folks homes, I'll be taking more games and stuff into this because they've got the time since they're counting flowers on the wall or playing solitaire till dawn with a deck of 51, that kind of thing. But thank you guys for showing up. I've really enjoyed today's show. Use some of those resources. And again, if you guys get value out of what we're doing, then please hit me up with a donation using the link here. Every little bit helps. I'm not going to lie. Because, how can I put this? I'm not going to say, oh, it takes a lot of money to run this stuff, but it will take a lot more money for me to upgrade and to put out higher quality content. I'm doing the best I can by myself. And I've come a long way in these 10 years, but there's a lot farther to go. I am becoming a better writer, and I have fewer distractions in my life. That's actually kind of cool. But yeah, so when it comes to all that stuff, guys, thank you for being here. And if y'all got any questions, any comments, feel free to hit me up. Just open up your email, and this is the time to argue and all that stuff. Just send me an email at backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDCK@gmail.com. You can also reach out to me over on Twitter and Instagram under Back on the Deck. And you can also hit me up on TikTok. And if you're still on Facebook, which I think you might be, join Deckers on the Book. It is a fun group. A lot of us are there. And you guys get to hear more dad jokes and all that jazz. If you guys are looking for some of the games that we talked about today, one-page rules, free to download, use whatever minis you got. We're really big here on miniature agnostic games. We love model agnostic games because pay to win sucks. And let's face it, chances are you got some D&D figures laying around, then go pick up Frostgrave from Osprey Games, written by Joseph McCullough. You got some sci-fi minis laying around because you played, Alien, A Great Day in the Core, or Warhammer 40K, or even This Is Not a Test, stuff like that. It's really cool. All of this stuff is really cool. And having model agnostic games really broadens your horizons. And if you're me and have a 3D printer garden, it's not quite a farm, but it is a garden. You can make lots and lots of minis out of free files and some paid files that you get all over the place. But anyway, join us again Monday on Dark Side of the Room, where, we might actually talk about some 3D printing stuff. I don't know. I have to reach out to a bunch of creators to see if they'll return my letters and all of that stuff. Again, the more followers and subscribers we have, the more I can actually do this. But when you only got like 300 followers on YouTube and not that many on Instagram and TikTok and stuff, people don't take it seriously. And it's like, hey, I'm looking to do this so we can spread the word and build the community. And they're like, yeah, you're not having a great time. Again, it's the result thing versus the process. So that's where I need your guys' help. With that, I gotta say, if anybody tells you that you can't like what you like because of the circumstances of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disabilities, neurodivergence, or your budget, because if you've ever been to a trailer park, you are walking distance from the hood, you can just look at those people and tell them to take whatever card they're playing on you and put it back in the deck. This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, saying thank you guys for joining me, and we will see you next time on the Dark Side of the Room. Don't take money. A wild lot of spending money. Ooh, child. So much money.